Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. I think we have some really interesting stuff to go over today. I'm Bill Sinclair, Ramdas Bill Sinclair, and I want to welcome you to this ongoing series that we have here at ACVA. It's really studying the transits by starting with the sun's movement. So instead of doing the first of the month, we're doing the solar ingress on this series. I'd love to bring your attention to a new series we just started last month. This is with Charlotte Benson. She's the current president of ACVA, and it's a really great chance to talk to someone who has been a professional Jyotishi for over 45 years. It's a great open format. It's really just a question and answer session, but you get to ask all those things you've been thinking about or wondering about and hopefully not worrying about. And Charlotte will put your mind at ease. Many of you know her. She's just so full of information, so positive, and really so supportive about promoting Jyotish. So our next session is going to be next Saturday, September 19th at 10 a.m. on here. And I believe you can email registrar at aquaonline.com, or there was if you're on our mailing list, which you should be, if you register for this series, we sent out a link earlier this week, so you can register there. So just want to highlight it. It was really successful last time, and I mean, it'll only get better as more people come and share their thoughts and feelings. Because if you're thinking it, someone else is thinking it. So also I'd like to remind you that the ACVA store has like hundreds of great recordings to check out. So if you're wanting to study something in particular, get someone else's take on a different aspect of Jyotish, that's a great place to start. Also, we're on YouTube, and we have a newsletter at aquaonline.org/contact, and you can always donate to the college. We are a nonprofit. So let's start a little bit. Today's a very auspicious day by transit, which many of you may already know. So we're going to do a little more mantra in the morning to help really get aligned with this fantastic transit we're having for the next 3 days. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Adityaye Somaye Mangalaye Budhaya Cha Guru Shukra Shanibhyascha Rahuve Ketuve Namaha. And finally, we'll do our prayer of healing for the world. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sagandim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mokshiyamamrita. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sagandim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mokshiyamamrita. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sagandim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mokshiyamamrita. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So today our major topic is going to be about Sun's transit through Virgo. As always, we'll talk about different key transits and sign by sign, and then we'll have time for questions and discussion at the end of the session. I'm just going to check in here real quick because I think just to see, make sure nothing's going wrong. Okay, good, we look good. Excellent. Okay. So the sun will move into Virgo on September 16th in just a few days, and it will be there until October 16th, 2020. All the timings in this presentation I do from Seattle. That's where I'm based here in the US. So it's a West Coast US time. Just get that out of the way. Good. So here is the chart for today. And what's really, no, sorry. This is the chart for the beginning of, didn't save the chart correctly. This is the sun's transit. This is when he will enter Virgo. And so this is an important transit to take, just like we take the birth lugna, we can take this as the beginning of the transit. So it will tell us some of the keys that we have there. So the first thing we look at is this sun is in the sign of Virgo. Now, sun is in a neutral sign in Virgo, so that means he can bring out more of his moderate type influences, kind of middle of the road stuff, not super great, not super bad, but just kind of calm, which for what we're going through right now, I don't necessarily think is a bad thing. Now, the Lord of the house is there in the sign with him, and so that will help to the Mercury is going to be helping him to do that, helping him in whatever work he's undergoing. Okay. Saturn has a third aspect to here. Mars has a fourth aspect on Venus. So this Mars aspecting Venus is something we should keep in mind, just because he may limit some of the ease and flow in our life. Also, I look at Rashi Drishti transits, and so this is in Parashara. This is a rule that says all of the mutable signs aspect each other. So we look at all these planets are in mutual aspect. This means Rahu and Ketu are aspecting the sun, and we also have Jupiter aspecting the sun as well. Now, today is actually the day Jupiter goes direct, so that's part of what's interesting about today. But so we will have a direct Jupiter giving aspect as well to the sun. And as you know, Jupiter is the counselor for wisdom and guidance for the sun. So this is, I look at this as a very positive aspect that's helping it, which will help counterbalance some of the, disruptive forces of Rahu Ketu that are supporting the sun. So sun is in a neutral sign, which gives his moderate influences. The Lagna Lord is a benefic and placed in the Lagna, indicating that the sun will continue to be popular among his fans. So this is kind of interesting. You can't help but start thinking of politics in the US, what's happening. Sun is aspected Rahu and Ketu by Rashi Drishti, which indicates that there will be opposition to the sun's agenda, which will come from those who are seeking change. So this will all shift on September 22nd when Rahu and Ketu move into their next signs. Rahu will move into Taurus and Ketu will move into Sagittarius. Into Scorpio, out of Sag into Scorpio. And so what this means is that we're having some major shifts that are occurring right now for old patterns. So Rahu Ketu have been in some of the most challenging nakshatras. They're in their own nakshatras, and then, they're Mula Trikona signs, and now they're going to be shifting out and moving into the exalted position, which there's some conflict, but a lot of times Rahu is considered exalted in Taurus and Ketu is considered exalted in Scorpio. So this will give them added strength. Now, Jupiter is also aspecting the sun. And so this is, I look at positive by, the basic thing you see is Jupiter, direct in his own sign gives a positive aspect. However, there is a rule in Purusha that's called Kendradipati dosha. And what it says is that when benefics rule two angles in the chart, they tend to have difficulties giving their results. So they lose some of their benefic qualities. So this is something just to think of. So I think that there will have some, it's not as strong as it would be if he wasn't ruling two angles in the chart. But I don't think it cancels by any means his good luck and the protection and the support that Jupiter naturally gives. It's just a little more muted. So it kind of matches the sun's being a little more moderate in a neutral house. So it could be, it's not really a bad thing, I don't think, right now, if everything just kind of calms down a little bit. We don't need a lot more shifting, just like let things settle for a month. And that's what I'm hoping we will have. So The other thing we should think about is that there are, in this chart, we look at it, we'll see that there's multiple planets in dignity. So if we go back up to the chart, we see here that Mercury is in his own sign, Jupiter is in his own sign, Saturn is in his own sign, and Mars is in his own sign. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Did I get that right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. So that's 4 signs. So that gives a lot of strength when that many planets, these 4 planets are in their own sign. And because they're in their own sign, it means each day by transit, you'll have some of the Maha Purusha yogas rising, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I do want to point out today, starting today, this is like the big news. Like my WhatsApp feed was like exploding this morning. So the 13th through the 15th of September, 6 of 7 planets are in dignity, and Jupiter is stationing direct at the same time. So we are in 3 very auspicious, powerful days. And so here is that chart, and this is what my mind has been focusing on all morning. So first of all, we have Jupiter is stationing direct as of today. Then look at this, we have Mercury in Virgo, Jupiter is there in his own sign, Saturn is in Capricorn, Mars is in Aries, Moon is in Cancer, and we still have the Sun in Leo. So that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 signs, all there. Everyone except all the planets, excluding Rahu Ketu, are there except for Venus. So this is a very rare and powerful combination. A friend of mine online did some research, and it hasn't occurred for over 500 years. So this is like one of the keys to this whole 2020 before COVID and everything. What we were looking at is so many planets are in their own signs that they're very strong. And I think one way to look at that is when a planet's in its own sign, it's very comfortable, so it expresses itself more freely. And so when you have a lot, it's like having a lot of very strongly opinionated people in the room. It can give really big results. And I think everyone can agree this year we've had really abnormally large or impactful planetary results. But I feel this is starting to be a turning point because they're all there in their own signs. And it's like a combination lock that's been going. Each of the planets is like, like a little, oh my God, I had this word, I lost it. It's like the things have fallen into place. So we're unlocking a lock that's like 6 layers deep. And so a tumbler, that's what it is. Like you have the little things that tumble into the lock and like it opens. So we have 6 of them now aligning. Once this has set for the next 3 days, it's going to be a shift. And it will, I believe, begin to open up our road to recovery. Now, I don't think it'll all, like by the 16th, we're not going to be fixed. But I think when something like this happens, and it's only, that it's so rare, it's like the trajectory has been going one way, and this will be, in my opinion, a very strong turn. And the planets all, are giving us their particular results. But we have a strong tendency towards making progress and leading us in the right direction. We have to realize that the karma is here. We all have to live our karma, but this is enacting, a very, I think, positive aspect that will start leading us onwards in our development. I think a lot of people have been feeling stuck and stagnant, and this will hopefully bring an awakening that people will realize we have to take care of our debts. Like we have to take care of global warming. We have to treat everyone equally. We have to provide health care, and we have to do, help people to live their best lives. It'll call us to the higher level of humanity, and it's very important. So these are 3 very important days for all of us This is a great time for your personal sadhana, for you to, however you connect to your higher consciousness, to your higher beings, your better nature, all of that stuff. Take this time to really be conscious about pursuing those goals. This is the power of astrology, is that we know when there's very benefic energy, there's very supportive, strong energy, and you can consciously work to connect yourself with that, which will help recharge your batteries and let you know to look for positive change, because it will start to manifest, over the coming months and years. I mean, because this is such a big event. The other thing I want to say is that in these next 3 days, I said this a little earlier, we have Panch Maha Purusha yoga. So this is a very powerful yoga. And when it appears in a birth chart, it means the person has done a lot of past life karmic work in this area. And it's almost like they have a master's degree in handling that energy. So it's a very positive karma. So on a global and a cosmic scale, for our planet, we are getting all of this alignment. So it means that all of our past work and learnings are going to begin to bear fruit. And the interesting thing in these 3 days is as each sign rises, there will always be a Panch Maha Purusha yoga occurring. And so this is part of the fabric that makes these very auspicious days. So we're getting the best of each planet, and they'll just like go in order. And so like all of the fixed signs, when a fixed sign is rising, you will have Sasha Yoga Saturn's auspicious sign rising. And his yoga will be there. For movable signs, you will have Mars fixed. Because Sun and Moon don't have them. And then for mutable signs, you'll have Mercury and Gemini rising. So we're always getting a very positive vibe, really the best of the best that the planets can offer. So this is a great thing to take time to really soak in. And I think we need it now. Everyone needs it now more than most. See, we get the challenge in astrology. In the cosmos, we always get the challenge, but we have to look and find the answer. The answer is coming and the help is coming. We just have to wait because it doesn't always happen at the same time. I think this is a signal that that help is beginning to flow towards us and will help us to work our way out of, the challenging lessons we've been facing. So from the sun itself, we have a Vajra yoga, which is when Mercury is in these Panch Maha Purusha yogas. And what that means is it describes someone who can think clearly and profoundly. They are wise, academic, knowledgeable. They'll also be very practical thinkers with a good sense of humor. They don't have time to be subtle. They don't have time for really subtle matters. They're dealing with the here and now kind of stuff. Mercury can be very practical. It's an earth planet. So, and they're very organized and fact-based. So this kind of social discourse will be becoming more and more prominent, which if you think about it, we've really kind of moved away from a lot of these qualities. So I'm looking for a resurgence of that. When Jupiter is in his own sign and when they're in an angle, the first, the fourth, the seventh, or 10th house from the rising sign or from the moon, then the Hamsa yoga is expressed. And when Jupiter is in Hamsa yoga like this, it indicates an exalted soul who wants to impart wisdom and knowledge to others without material gain. So it's really the, perfected teacher who has wisdom and knowledge and really wants to share it with others. This energy is very ethical, it's truthful, it's able to influence people in positions of power. So that's a very important thing. As Guru is the representative to the sun, he's the advisor. These are people with a keen grasp of the manifest and unmanifest dynamics in any situation, okay? They can be impartial and wise. So these two yogas are really being featured because they're in angles from the sun in Virgo. And then we will get to the other three when we do all the outer transits in the second part of the presentation. So the sun's key attributes, how we can expect power, our own personal power when we're in roles of power, or our leaders in corporations, business, and in government this month, their energy is going to be, they still have a strong ability to connect to the soul. They will be of a more moderate disposition, oriented to maintaining the status quo. There will be a moderate sense of self-confidence, courage, and charisma. So this is what you may have to really take time to connect to those values within you. They're still there, they're just not overly abundant. Good health and vitality is indicated. Some ability to manifest authority, leadership qualities, and even royal disposition are going to be available. So this is that moderate solar influence. It's not going, corrupt, and it's not going like supernova great. It's just right there in the middle, slow and steady, and can be very calming and solid. For the nakshatras, the first thing we notice when I look at these is that all month the sun is in friendly nakshatra rulers. The sun is in his own nakshatra of Uttar Phalguni until September 26th, and then he moves into the moon's nakshatra, which is Hasta there, until October 10th, and then he's in Mars's nakshatra Chitra until October 23rd. So this is a good sign. These are all in harmony. They will be supporting the efforts of the sun, which will make authority figures feel better and be thinking more of how to serve others, because it's a relaxed, more sun. Now it's interesting because Uttar Phalguni gives the power of prosperity. And so this is going to help us to move towards better solutions, I believe. Hasta is the power to manifest what we are seeking and place it in our hands. Now this is very interesting because it's the story related to it concerns the Gayatri Mantra. So if you know the Gayatri Mantra, you might really consider it be a great time to do a daily practice of reciting it from September 26th until October 10th. Because it's going to power charge your sun by propitiating the lunar nakshatra that he's in. It will help to bring out even more vitality and energy and clarity in your thinking. And then we move into Chitra, which has the power to accumulate merit in life. Now, this is where we will start to see October 10th through October 23rd. The sun will be really reflecting kind of like the net outcome of what's been going on recently. So because Chitra is where all your recent actions or your lifelong actions are tallied up, and like you get a score about where you are. So once a year, sun goes through this nakshatra. And so because the sun is so powerful, it kind of represents the whole solar system in a way, that this could be a time of fruition. So as we used to say in Texas, the chickens come home to roost here. So it'd be a great study to look out, because things that come up for you during that may be issues you're going to have a chance to work on or improve. And you may also see the gains you have made in the last year. That's a really important way to use the energy as well. So if we look at the Navamsha chart to see the outcomes, just to get like a sense of when times are really good, the first two padas, so sun's in his own nakshatra, which is that these are all very good. But you see here that the results won't be so great until after September 23rd, when he's in a friend sign, and then things are going to, results will manifest more easily through from the 23rd up to the end of the month, because he's here in his friend sign and exalted sign. And so these are the things, especially the 26th through 30th, it's a good time to kind of look at beginning new things. From the sun's perspective, this is a very good time. And then, of course, from the end of the month, from the October 10th through October 16th, we will have a very fortunate time here, because he's in Chitra and Mars. And so this is, going to give us those results I was talking about. And that will continue for the next two padas as well. But here he's in a good outcomes in the Navamsha of his own sign and in the Vargotama sign. So those are strong times, just kind of a little planning thing for you to keep in mind. So let's move in the other transits. The big transit, that's happening outside of what's happening right now with this alignment of the planets in their own signs is Mars's retrograde. And Mars is really the final frontier of 2020. This is the last big challenge that's really emerging for this year, that's going to continue to give us opportunities for growth and improvement. So if we kind of scan down the list here, we can see that on the 17th, we have a new moon, and this is going to be at 0 degrees of Virgo. It's in the sign of Uttara Phalguni, so we see here that that's happening. The full moon is on the 1st of October. It's in Pisces, and at 14 degrees Pisces in the nakshatra of Uttara Bhadrapada. So this is can be quite inspirational, maybe some psychic energy, maybe some connections to make deeper connections and understandings in your life. And then we have another new moon on the 16th. And so this is going to be at 29 degrees Virgo. So you see, like really Virgo, we get the very first and the very last. This is in Swati. That's about change, movement, new ideas coming up. So that's the lunar cycle for this month. The big shifts we see here is that Mercury will be going into Libra on the 22nd, and then he'll be turning retrograde on the 13th of October for the last retrograde of the year for him. Jupiter's in Sagittarius this whole time, but he is now direct as of today. So that's going to be a little bit of a relief, and we can start to look for his forward momentum through Sagittarius. Mars is retrograde already. He's turned and he'll be going back retrograde into Pisces on the 3rd of October. And then the other big news is that Saturn is in Capricorn. He's going to station at 1 degree on the 28th. So he is stationing for like 4 days on either side of it. So you can see from the 24th to about the 2nd, 3rd here, he'll be stationing, which will be an intense aspect because it's right at 1 degree of the Capricorn. So this is something that we just went through, that Mars station in retrograde, and I think many people were talking to me about how they were feeling it, and so we just know that this is coming to an end. But that will be good because then the energy will start to lighten, because when Saturn's in his own sign and retrograde, it's been fairly intense for all of us. So we start to see that this will lighten up, which is good. And of course, the biggest news, there's quite a lot of big news this month, actually, I'm thinking about it, is that we have Rahu and Ketu shifting on the 22nd, the same day that Mercury goes into Libra, into Taurus and Scorpio. So this is every 18 months, they change sign. They have really done their work quite intensely as they moved through Gemini and Sag. So now they'll move into their exalted positions starting the 22nd. So this is a great time to really be aware of what's happening. I wouldn't plan anything big for the 22nd because the energy is going to be pretty unstable, and then it'll lead right into this station here. So I just do this little list. We start the month with the major things of Saturn being in retrograde since May 10th. Mars enters Aries, and he'll be there until the 21st of February. So this is this long kind of Mars in Aries transit. And of course, Mars is a fire sign, and we're having unbelievable fires, here on the West Coast. So it's just, interesting to look at that and see what's happening. On the 9th, he started to retrograde at 4 degrees, and then he'll turn direct on November 13th. It's interesting because I heard on the news that some of the big fires in California, they think may burn into November. And so I immediately thought, oh my gosh, Mars is retrograde through into November. So there's, we're really seeing the power of Mars. So then on the 16th, we have Sun entering Virgo. On the 22nd, we have that big shift of Mercury and Rahu changing, which we already, Rahu, Ketu, and Mercury all changing signs. 2 days later, Saturn begins the station we talked about, and he's direct on the 28th, the same day that Venus enters Leo. This is what I always find interesting. When you have a couple things happening together, the days are a little more, I don't know, intense, because you got a couple things changing signs at the same time. We have our full moon on October 1st. The Saturn station ends around the 2nd, 3rd, and then on the 3rd, Mars enters Pisces retrograde. So this is another kind of run of days that stuff's going to be happening every day, but not as intense as when you get like this, the nodes moving and everything. And then on October 13th, Mercury is retrograde at 17 degrees of Virgo in Swati until November 3rd. Now, those of you in the US, remember November 3rd is kind of an important date for us because that's the date of the election. And Mars will be stationing direct at 1 degree of Libra. So this is part of what's we'll be talking about next month is the election. Surprise, surprise, in the US is going to be quite chaotic because the US chart is also changing. Dasha Bhukti, the Bhukti is changing a couple days before the 28th. So, and then we have a Mercury going direct, coming out of retrograde. So the thing about retrogrades, and we're going to talk about that now, is that if you have something at 17 degrees Virgo or 1 degree Libra, this Mercury retrograde is going to be more impactful for you. Otherwise, it's just something for us all to be aware of. So this is the Mars retrograde curve that I like to study. So from September 9th to November 13th, we see he's in his retrograde cycle, and he crosses back from Aries into Pisces here on these dates. But I like to study when he first comes to the degree where he's going to station direct. This whole thing from July 25th forward, he was going over the degrees of the chart that then he's going to retrograde back through, and then finally he'll go direct again. So by the time he reaches 4 degrees Aries again, it will be January 2nd. And so this from July 25th to January 2nd, he's kind of in the zone of that retrograde. And this is something Ronnie Dreyer pointed out to me, and I've been kind of watching. And so it's interesting to look and see, because if you have planets between 21 Pisces and 4 degrees Aries, it's going to get passed over 3 times. So you have to take into account the first, second, and third passes to really understand the full nature of this retrograde in your chart. So I always like to share that. It's, you know, just kind of a very interesting thing to watch. And you can watch it in world events, you know, because we're having all these fires, but they did start before September 9th. I don't think they had started so early in July, but I mean, they were building and things are, you know, building and setting up the conditions. So the other 3 Panch, Maha, Purusha yogas we talked about Jupiter already, but we also have Saturn, which is Sasha Yoga, and this is for movable signs. So when Aries, Cancer, Libra, or Capricorn are rising by transit, then this is going to be supporting a commanding personality who will champion unfashionable causes and is not interested in popularity, able to shoulder responsibility and unafraid of karmic debts. So these are in a way the best qualities of Saturn. He can be quite commanding, and he really is focused. He's one of the lords of Dharma. So he's really focused not on what's popular, but what is right. And so this energy has been with us. It was there from January 24th to April 29th. And we're going to have this. It started July 12th again through January 17th. This is not right. This is 2020. And this should be 2020. No. It's going to be there all the way through 2023 because he's in the sign so long. Yeah, that's right. He doesn't move out. So he's going to be so we have a 3-year period where this energy is going to be manifesting. So we're still April 20th, 2022, because he's in Capricorn this whole time. Then he goes Capricorn and Aquarius. So then he goes out and then he comes back in. Actually, I'll have to double check this because I think it's even longer. Because when he's in Aquarius, he'll be giving it, but not for the movable signs. Anyway, finally, we go to Mars and Ruchaka Yoga. This is for the movable signs as well. And so from August 2020 to October 3rd, he's there, then he moves back into Pisces and it comes back December 2020 through February 2021. So this just gives action, ambition, able to achieve. There's lots of energy that Mars gives us, all those great Mars quality of getting things done, setting a plan, following it, obtaining the goal. Ruchaka means to shine, a light, a luster, to illuminate in splendor. So it's the very positive qualities of the planets are what's coming out. And that's why these next 3 days we're going to be getting those in like a continuous kind of shower of blessings from the planets, giving their very best to us. So let's look at this sign by sign. I didn't check the time. Okay, good. Doing okay on time. So for Aries, the sun will be in the 6th house, where you may face negative results from your past karmas. Legal issues and authority figures will be challenging. Take time to plan your response and avoid acting on impulse. Okay, amongst all this energy, you got to just really be specific. Taurus, the sun will be in the 5th house, which can bring unexpected blessings. This can be monetary, romantic, or from children. Engage your creativity and any stress that arises will be reduced. So this is the idea, and creativity means thinking outside the box, considering new ways of handling things. All those kind of things will help you to alleviate that pressure. In Gemini, sun will be in the 4th house and can disturb your sense of peace and happiness at home. Find some simple ways to make your home feel more appealing and comforting. Little changes can have a big result. Move your favorite chair to the other side of the room and suddenly you see the whole world in a new perspective. Cancer, sun will be in the 3rd house and will bring complications with siblings and colleagues. You may feel less confident during this month because of the sun's position. So take time to sort out your thoughts and feelings before reacting. Just be aware that you're gonna, for sun in Cancer, it's just gonna be a tender time. So things may hit you wrong. Take time to consider before you react. Leo, sun is in your 2nd house, which will impact your speech. Be thoughtful about the words you choose, as they will have a deep impact on those who hear you. For Virgo, sun is in your 1st house and may bring some health challenges, but it will also bring the solution. Sun will help with vitality, but you may be processing through some health changes. If you take up, the right treatment and adhere to it and do what you're supposed to do, you can manage the conditions. Maintain a healthy routine, and if issues arise, seek advice to address the situation. Libra, sun in your 12th house may bring unsettling dreams that help to identify subconscious issues which are ready to be processed and released. It's a great way to use your dreams. When you have a series of unsettling dreams, really look and see what's going on there and if there's something you need to release or a pattern you need to change. Scorpio, sun in the 11th house can bring big gains and big losses. Remember to remain balanced in your attitude as you endure these extremes, and know that peace of mind is your greatest asset. For Sagittarians, sun is in the 10th house and may bring transitions in your job or career. In this time, many jobs are being redefined. Allow yourself to be flexible and you may find yourself in a better place. That's the key. Is to, not take things personally, but try as much as you can to recognize, to see the other side of the coin. There's so many new dynamics in the marketplace everywhere that it's very unsettling. Capricorn, Sun in the 9th house can bring new ideas and new ways of understanding your current philosophies. You are likely to find teachers and authors who are open to help who are authors who help to open your world. So that's a great thing to be on the lookout for. You know, one good trick for that is you used to be able to go into a bookstore and browse around and a book would speak to you. But go to your bookshelves at your house and look at all the books, and you may find rereading a book or, you know, I don't know about you, but I have quite a few books that I bought and never really read. See if there's not something there calling you, you know, for inspiration. Aquarians. Sun is in the 8th house and can bring long-standing issues to light by exacerbating the symptoms. We can gain personal insight by looking at our less flattering characteristics. Be calm and be centered, and if things arise, I mean, we all have stuff to work on. Look at it with compassion and be gentle, and maybe you can start to move away from patterns that are ready to be released. And finally, we have Sun in the 7th house for Pisces. This can rebalance the dynamics in our personal and professional relationships. Simple patterns may seem to be more emphasized this month. Think of it as a way to get a better understanding of the subtle dynamics which support these relationships. So I don't think there's going to be huge blow-ups, but I mean, I think you may see some things that are just there and look for a way to address them or even just to bring them to light. You don't have to change them. Sometimes just in discussing people, you know, I've noticed this about our interaction. You know, it may open up something because maybe they have something to share with you. And that's always the key to working on relationships, is to be able to express what you're feeling, but be open to receiving the information that can help resolve the dynamic. So it's not one person versus the other, it's between the two of us. How can we facilitate a better connection? So I would like to thank you very much for tuning in this month. And I really hope these next 3 days, the blessings of these planets will help us all to move to a better space. And then it will take time for this to manifest in the world, so don't lose hope. The other thing to remember is that this alignment has happened. It is locked into place, and it will continue to generate and reverberate as time goes by. So this is like a 500-year event. I mean, you know, so this is, I really believe, the beginning of the recovery, because we've had, you know, an unusually challenging year as a planet. And so I think this is going to be the turn. I wish you all the best. And I look forward to seeing you again next month when we talk about Sun in Libra. Namaste. So now let's see if you have any questions. Oh, look, good, lots of questions. Here we go. I'm popping out this thing. Not that one. Okay. Good morning. Yes, tech is all good. Let's see what we have here. Just scrolling through. Thank you, Kathy. Oh, good. Yes, thank you, people. Some people said they like hearing the good news. I got to tell you, I've been looking for the good news. I've been trying to find it. It's been kind of depressing to not have, you know, like it's just one challenge after the other. But, you know, we have to keep faith that it's coming up. Okay. Great. And then let me check the chat to see if there's anything coming up in there. Nope. Okay. Okay, so if anyone okay, so it looks like no questions so far. I know, I mean, we all just have to do it. And this is the time I would say, like, whatever your practice is, there's no wrong way in my mind to connect to the higher wisdom. You know, set your goal and do whatever tradition has come to you, whatever you're comfortable with, whatever brings that peace of calm inside. That's really the key. Okay. Oh, why? So this is a really good question, Michael. Why is Mars in Aries transit so much worse than the others? Worse than the previous Mars Aries transits? I think right now it's just, well, first of all, most of the time when Mars goes through Aries, it just happens in 2 months. Okay? He just goes right through. But we have this retrograde cycle that happens only every 2 years. Mars will go retrograde, but it can be in any of the signs. But this year it's retrograding in Aries, his own sign. And so I think this is why it's going to be really impactful, because it'll be there about 5 months. So whenever a planet's in one place long enough, it has a deeper impact. The longer it stays in going through those signs, that's the pattern of stars in the sky, the deeper its impact, which is why Saturn and Jupiter, who are so slow moving, have a slower but longer impact on things. So Mars is that planet of speed. He loves to go through things fast, but then he gets stuck and he goes back. We do get some break because he goes into Pisces and then he comes forward. However, at the same time, it's often said that when a retrograde planet goes into the previous sign and then comes back, like Jupiter has done this year, and like Mars will do Aries to Pisces and come back, it's more challenging. And I think it's because it disrupts the energies in 2 signs. It's not all in one sign. Saturn has stayed retrograde all within his own sign. He went from 4 degrees like back to, or maybe 7 degrees back to 1 degree, and then he'll go forward. But so this is like why it's particularly unusual for Mars, is because it's 5 months and in his own fiery sign. And Mars is all about, I mean, the energy of Aries is also just about beginnings and startings. It's very energetic sign. So I expect big results, which we're already unfortunately getting in a kind of a negative way. Okay, and then what may we experience when Saturn is retrograde? Well, Saturn is retrograde, and so Saturn he's slow and he's intentional. But what his remember, the key with each of these planets is remember that like Saturn is all about us paying back our debts. So we have to face the things we've done wrong in our past, challenges that we haven't resolved. So Saturn went retrograde right with everyone else, like in the middle of May. Jupiter, like 3 planets, I think, went retrograde within a week. So Venus started its long transit in Taurus, and Jupiter and Saturn all went in together. And so this is when all of these past things, like in the US, the karma of, racial inequality came forward in a big, big way. And so this is what we have to see, is Saturn presents us with everything, that all of our debts, and we have to start paying them back. So when he's retrograde, he really presents more and more challenges to us. On a personal level, you'll have to study this area to see kind of what's happening in your life, because this will give you a clue. I hope that answers your question. Any other questions? We're talking all morning. Okay, great. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. And we'll see you next week. Just, as they say, keep calm. The planets are always moving, and right now we're getting some good movement. So take time these next 3 days to walk in nature or do whatever it is that brings you to that point of center. Okay, thank you so much, everybody. Bye-bye.